Hey there, friends. I'm David Paulides, and you're here for another investigation into the unexplained. For years, my work known as Missing 411 has mapped out terrifying clusters of disappearances across the United States. We talk about the deep woods, the national parks, the cases where people vanish without a trace. They often disappear under conditions that defy common sense and standard law enforcement logic. But today, we're not just looking at a patch of forest. We're looking at something far bigger, something colder, and something that appears to be swallowing entire aircraft and their occupants whole. We are investigating the Great Lakes Vortex. For those of you who appreciate the sheer scale of our investigations, you know that producing a documentary is a massive, year-long effort. It's a fact that sometimes delays my ability to bring you more films. But the chilling, uncounted stories never stop coming. And today's narrative connects the seemingly mundane encounters of my listeners to one of the most chilling, unexplained aviation mysteries in North American history. We must first understand the small, localized tremors of this greater, unseen force before looking at the cataclysms. First, let's set the stage with the strange phenomena. The anomalies we document for Missing 411 aren't limited to remote mountains. Sometimes they brush right up against civilization. Take the terrifying story from a combat veteran and avid mountain biker in Holly, Michigan. This man experienced acutely aware of his surroundings. A Marine was alone on a trail at night. He described something tracking him for over 3 miles. Not on the trail, but off trail, keeping pace at 7 or 8 miles an hour through dense, rooted forest. He never saw it, never smelled it, but felt a heavy fog with physical weight and a cold, legitimate fear that screamed at him to keep moving. This thing was impossibly fast, impossibly silent, and impossibly close. It knew he was there. It was tracking him. Then there's the registered nurse in Grand Rapids, Michigan, who experienced a sudden, disorienting event on a bridge over the Grand River. A bright, silent light, about 10 feet across, glided near her before vanishing. She looked up, realizing the 2 people who were walking ahead of her had simply disappeared. She checked her watch. It had gone from 11:30 p.m. to 3 a.m. 4 hours of her life gone. Missing time, proximity to water, and a terrifying light source that seemed to have pulled the people and the minutes right out of her grasp. These aren't random events. They are what I call the Missing 411 phenomenon touching the edge of our reality. They are the initial warning signs, but the reality-breaking events get far, far bigger when we move to the water. We move now to the lake itself, and a cold case that should define unexplained aviation. The 23rd of June, 1950. Northwest Airlines Flight 2501 took off from New York, heading west with 55 passengers and 3 crew. Most of the passengers were young college students heading home for the summer. The captain was Robert Lind, an aviator with incredible experience. As they approached the Michigan coast, an electrical storm raged over Lake Michigan. Captain Lind requested to drop altitude, fearing the worst. The last report came just after 11:30 p.m. Then, silence. The plane vanished. All 58 people, search efforts quickly concentrated near Benton Harbor, Michigan. They found twisted pieces of metal and, sadly, small fragments of human remains. The Navy conducted an intensive search for 7 days, but here is the chilling part that echoes every Missing 411 case. The wreckage was never found. Not the engines, not the main fuselage, not the massive pieces of a 4-engine DC-4. Even today, with side-scan sonar technology that can illuminate the lake bottom like a floodlight, the area near Benton Harbor is described as smooth. How does an entire commercial airliner simply cease to exist in our territorial waters? This is not the vastness of the Indian Ocean. This is Lake Michigan. The only answer, if we allow ourselves to consider the terrifying possibilities, is that whatever took it didn't just smash it, it removed it from our dimension. And the story doesn't end in 1950. 17 years later, the same stretch of water became a graveyard again. The 13th of January, 1967. Highly decorated pilot Edward Dwan vanished while flying a small plane toward Benton Harbor. Dwan had 10,000 hours of flight time. The very next day, a dedicated Civil Air Patrol major named William Sells took off with 2 spotters to search for Dwan's plane. Sells was an expert. He flew into the area, left Benton Harbor at 11:30 a.m., and never arrived. The search plane became the second missing plane in the same spot. Searching for the first 2 planes, 4 people, 3 of them highly experienced men, vanished without a distress call. The only recovery, months later, was the body of the sole female on Sells's plane, Eva House, found miles away. We have 3 planes, 2 separate incidents, all centered around Benton Harbor, all disappearing without a trace, and all involving experienced aviators who made no attempt at a distress call. This is a pattern far too sinister to be written off as mere coincidence. And finally, we move north to a military incident that ties this phenomenon to something truly extraterrestrial. The 23rd of November, 1953. An F-89 Scorpion jet was scrambled from Kinross Airfield in the Upper Peninsula. Their mission: to intercept an unidentified flying object crossing over Lake Superior. The jet was piloted by Lieutenant Felix Moncla and Lieutenant Robert Wilson, flying at 500 miles an hour. Moncla's last transmission was eerily simple: "I'm moving in for a closer look." Radar operators saw the 2 blips, the F-89 and the UFO, merge into one. Then there was only a single blip, and then nothing. The jet, the 2 pilots, the wreckage, the oil slick gone. The government later offered Moncla's wife multiple conflicting explanations for his death, desperate to hide the truth. The key is that the jet was scrambled near a major missing 411 cluster and vanished while chasing something entirely unearthly. When you put these cases together, you must consider the possibility that is the most terrifying of all. This isn't an earthly crash. This is a dimensional rift, a localized, powerful tear in the fabric of reality over the Great Lakes. The heavy fog felt by the mountain biker, the missing time of the nurse, the total vanishing of 5 aircraft and 64 people. It suggests a mechanism that removes matter from our existence, perhaps transporting it instantly into another time, another dimension, or simply dissolving it into pure energy. The lake is not a black hole. It is a vortex, silently pulling our missing into the unknown. I know these cases are disturbing, but this is the work of Missing 411. We go where others won't. We ask the questions others are afraid to touch. Ask yourself this: if an entire commercial airliner can vanish without a trace in 1950, and our government seemingly has no interest in finding it, what is really happening out there? Do me a favor. Share this video with everyone you know, especially those in the Great Lakes region. The data is real. The clustering is undeniable. Make sure you're subscribed to the channel. Thank you for supporting our search for the truth. Paulides out.